Capital crosses borders to exploit labor. The state, having abandoned its obligation to protect human rights, seems now obsessed with hunting down workers.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's jump right into last week in Southern labor. Here is what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to from September 5th to the 12th in new union campaigns. 14 workers at Specs and Spirits and Finer Food in Temple, Texas, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters. 33 workers at Pre-Stressed Casting Company in Springfield, Missouri, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters, Local 245. 650 workers at St. Joseph Health in Bryan, Texas, filed a petition to hold a union election with National Nurses United in NU. 3 workers at MCOR Government Services in Washington, D.C. filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Union of Operating Engineers, IUOE, Local 99. 26 workers at Starbucks in West Palm Beach, Florida, filed a petition to hold a union election with Starbucks Workers United, as did 21 more at a location in Bowling Green, Kentucky. 2 workers at Momentive Performance Materials in Friendly, West Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Chemical Workers Union Council, ICWUC, UFCW, Local 698C. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the United Food and Commercial Workers, UFCW, Local 455, as the union representing 550 workers at Wayne Sanderson Farms in Hammond, Louisiana. 21 workers at the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, in Washington, D.C., filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 1200. 47 workers at Dollar and Thrifty in Orlando, Florida, filed a petition to decertify the United Service Workers Union, USWU, Local 74. The Security, Police, and Fire Professionals of America, SPFPA, is attempting to raid a unit of 21 guards at Metro Special Police Department in Washington, D.C., who are currently represented by the National Capital Union for Security Officers. In election results, 13 workers at Custom Fabrication in Philpott, Kentucky, voted 3-10 against unionization with the Central Midwest Regional Council of Carpenters. 31 workers at GM Culinary in Austin, Texas, voted 21-10 in favor of unionization with Unite Here, Local 23. 14 workers at Starbucks in Nashville, Tennessee, withdrew their petition for a union election with Starbucks Workers United. 41 workers at GFL Plant Services in Houston, Texas, voted 22-19 in favor of unionization with the IBEW Local 988. 8 workers at Velocity Electric and Automation in Grain Valley, Missouri, voted 4-3 in favor of unionization with IBEW Local 124. 18 workers at Puerto Rico Energy in San Juan, Puerto Rico, voted to maintain their unionization with the Congress of Industrial Unions of Puerto Rico in a decertification election. 9 votes for the Congress of Industrial Unions to 2 for the Teamsters and 2-4 for no union. 4 workers at UFCW Local 540 in Dallas, Texas, withdrew their petition for a union election with the Federation of Agents and International Representatives, FAIR, and the International Guards Union of America withdrew their attempt to raid a unit of 21 security guards at Paragon Systems in Washington, D.C., who are currently represented by the United Government Security Officers of America.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
In grievances, unfair labor practices, and court cases, the recent immigration raids at the Hyundai facility in Georgia have brought attention to their poor employment practices generally, and how 3 workers have died just in the build-out of the factory already. The UAW and the Korean Metalworkers Union, which represents Hyundai workers in South Korea, released a joint statement saying, in part, "Capital crosses borders to exploit labor. The state, having abandoned its obligation to protect human rights, seems now obsessed with hunting down workers. At this moment, international solidarity among labor unions is more urgent than ever. KMWU and the UAW will take the lead and respond together to defend the rights of workers around the world." In strikes and bargaining updates, GM is laying off 700 workers at its Spring Hill, Tennessee plant, which is unionized with UAW Local 1853. The local union president told the media that these layoffs are temporary, though, as they retool the plant for different vehicles, and that thanks to their union contract, they'll still be getting paid a good portion of their salary while they're laid off. Machinists Union members at Boeing in St. Louis, Missouri, voted to reject a tentative agreement with the company, continuing the strike. Members say that the deal didn't include enough. 3,200 workers are on strike, and Boeing says they're going to start hiring permanent replacements. But striking workers are not worried about that because they say no one is inside the plant to train the scabs. Republican Missouri Senator Josh Hawley sided with the striking workers, saying management needs to, quote, suck it up and give the workers what they're asking for. Workers at Invest in Louisiana, unionized with the News Guild CWA, ratified a new union contract that includes raises, 12 weeks of paid parental leave, and more. Workers at Greyhound nationwide, unionized with the International Association of Machinists, IAM, ratified a new union contract that includes raises and more paid time off, among other things, according to the union. The UAW reached a tentative agreement with GE to potentially end the strike in Ohio and Kentucky. Workers there will be voting on the tentative agreement on September 19th. In political and legislative updates, a Tennessee think tank released a report showing that costs are still rising faster than wages for most Tennesseans, that tax incentives are hurting municipal budgets, and that housing costs are skyrocketing. More news on living conditions in the South. Oxfam released a report on the best and worst states to be a worker based on wage, worker protection, and the right to organize policies. It will come as no surprise that Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee ranked among the worst in the country. A Florida city council person filed a disclosure indicating that he has been union busting on the side. Florida reporter McKenna Schuler pointed out multiple inconsistencies in his filings and the fact that he filed months late, a violation of the law. The TVA is proposing new gas turbines in South Memphis, Tennessee. Union members spoke in support of the proposal at a recent public comment section, and environmental activists spoke out against the project. Some unions have responded to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Liz Schuler, president of the AFL-CIO, said in part, the labor movement has a long and storied history of promoting nonviolent activism to effect change. In these troubling times, we urge all leaders across the ideological spectrum to join us in unequivocally defending the protection of freedom of speech without the threat of violence and hate that divides working people. National Nurses United, NNU, which represents nurses at some VA facilities, held rallies across the country last week protesting short staffing at VA facilities following an OIG report that stated that 139 facilities nationwide are short-staffed. If we missed anything, let us know. You can send us a note at tvlr.fm/contact, and we'll try to include it on next week's report. Also, a reminder that not everything gets included in the radio in our Last Week in Southern Labor segment. So if you want to see the exhaustive version of what happened last week in Southern Labor, you got to subscribe to the newsletter, tvlr at tvlr.fm. So if we missed anything, let us know, tvlr.fm/contact, and we will try to include it on next week's program. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m., and we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.